in the right place, but that movement, you've got to have some sort of movement. It doesn't magically arrive at your feet. You've got to have an instinct in front of goal, and Arsenal just had that, sadly lacking today. I felt there were many opportunities where they could have picked players out from crosses, and it just wasn't there. It wasn't to be their night. Lots of crosses, lots of possession in the final third, but you need that one player, that one quality player to put the ball in the net, and Arsenal didn't have that.
And you do certainly feel for Arsene Wenger. He spoke, didn't he, about having the dream end this evening. The dream end is not going to be. We'll hear from him, of course, as soon as he comes out of the Arsenal dressing room. But once again, it was Diego Costa who came back to haunt a club he enjoyed playing against so often in the Premier League. Arsene Wenger back to the dressing room. Plenty to think about. All the reaction comes next. Well, they've done exactly what we'd expect from them in the last couple of games, and in many respects the two performances of Arsenal shows us exactly where Arsenal are at the moment under Arsene Wenger as well, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and I just feel that first game, you look at a gift horse in the mouth, really. Yeah, they go down to 10 men, Arsenal pummeling them with attacks, and this is the goal that Arsenal concede. Monreal not getting out quickly enough. Koscielny, the poor man, now is injured. He should get back and drop and deal with this. And even then, he panics really. His goal side, he just tried to see this through, wild clearance, and then everybody else just then goes into panic mode, and they're just literally falling at Griezmann's feet. And
too many similarities to
tonight. Too many similarities. It used to be when the first thing you look for was, where's the defensive line? I need to get back to that early, Bellerin, but he leaves the space there for Costa to run into. If you look at it here, I mean, this is the line. It's not a bad line. It's coming up to the halfway line. But as the ball is kicked, they've got to drop instantly. Bellerin's got to get back in and over. And he doesn't do that. Costa knows now, I'm going to score. This is a marksman who will score goals for fun. You give him that kind of space. He just hold off his opponent. Look at him, arm out, looks for the finish. The spinner falls over, and he makes it look easy.
Does the goalkeeper make it too easy?
Look, it's a tough situation for him. He just goes down way too early for me. I think if you stand strong, give Costa make the decision first. It's easier said than done, but I'm sure most goalkeepers looking at that would agree he's gone down a little bit too soon.
Tell me where you now see this Arsenal defence then. They've conceded 48 goals in the Premier League. That's more than Newcastle. It's more than Brighton. They've got Ospina, and there's been question marks over his goalkeeping in the last couple of games. Petr Cech is out the side. He's 36 this month. They told Mustafi that he could leave last summer. Koscielny's got Achilles problems. There seems to be a lot of work in that Arsenal back five for whoever replaces Arsenal.
You wonder, to a certain extent, does the new manager coming in now do exactly the opposite to what Wenger did when he came in? He inherited a back four or a back five. Wenger then attached the quality players to that. To a certain extent, they've got that quality at the top of the team, but we were demanding more. It's the defence now. That's where the work needs to be done. They need a midfield player as well in there that wants to defend. Xhaka at times today did that, and you could see the difference. A few bits of inspired defending, but we need that more consistently.
I think it's a thin line between individuals and the way that Arsenal play collectively as a team. They do play very expansive at times, and it can leave them exposed, and it has done this year in the Premier League. I do think there'll be some changes. I think there needs to be, especially as you mentioned along the back five, including the goalkeeper. But I think a manager that comes in with more of a defensive mindset, rather than just clearing people out, and coach them, get them in the right places at the right time, just like
it's
Atletico.
Balance, isn't it? Arsenal just need to find a better balance to their play, and you can't leave yourself open to the counter-attack that Arsenal were. I mean, really, Arsenal have lost both games trying to win them, and they've just been left exposed at the back.
What about going forward, though? They created plenty of chances tonight. They had the right intent, but as we've said a number of times, one shot on target in 90 minutes.
I was trying to get my head around this, Jake, because I just thought that they played very well tonight at times, but why are they not getting the opportunities? Is what I'm thinking. They're getting into good situations, but this defence is just, they've got those last-ditch tackles, and part of me wants to go, you know what? Arsenal did all right, but then you when you start to break it down, you think, well, did you really? One shot on target tonight, is that really enough when you're that desperate for a goal?
That was a great chance there, wasn't he? Mkhitaryan just could not get that down, and I think Wenger realised it was slipping away, and it's now the end of an era at Arsenal Football Club.
And they obviously realised that crosses was the way forward. 57 crosses over the two legs. What is the reason though for not getting someone on the end of those? But maybe because they haven't got an Alan Shearer, they don't. I don't know. What's the?
I think there was a lack of quality a lot of the time. That was a big thing. And
On the ball or in the middle?
I mean, there's an adage about crosses. You know, Shearer would say, "Put it in there, and I'll get on the end of it." But at times you've got to pick people out, and if that movement's not there, more so than any other time, and they couldn't get people on the end of it. There was a couple of times when Welbeck, who looks stronger tonight, looks like he's returning, was asleep when the ball came across. Monreal heads the ball across. He's on his heels, as they said in commentary. He should be getting on the end of it. It's something that needs to. You need that inspiration, that moment where you read the script. It's your moment in time, and it wasn't there tonight.
No, I totally agree. I think there was a certain moments where Arsenal lacked quality. I think this is a good ball.
Got to pick him out there, hasn't he?
He has to pick him out there. Bellerin, poor quality again. Do you know what I mean? In all these moments here, it's poor quality. And then there were other moments where I'm looking at it and I'm going, actually, I think Atletico are in complete control of this situation because it's been too many. Out of 20 crosses tonight, Jay, Arsenal have only got to the ball twice first.
Wow.
And that's astonishing. There was 37 crosses in the first game. This is another situation. When you freeze it, okay, Welbeck is there, but Godini's in complete control of this situation, which is why it flashes across the box. He's going, you stay there, Danny. I'm controlling you, and that's why it's going to go out of play. And then again here, what's Bellerin supposed to pick out here? Ramsey, Welbeck in the box. They're marked tight. No one can get that ball to them. It's not a coincidence that people are going, well, this is last minute, you know, and that's the situation there where Martin's talking about Danny being on his heels. It's not a coincidence. We sit here going, oh, well, Arsenal getting into some good positions here. No, I think Atletico are in complete control of the situation. Last minute, you need a bit more quality.
And they enjoy doing it, don't they, Jermaine? They enjoy doing that. They enjoy defending. And there is a balance to their play. They're that threat at the top of the team. Two outstanding strikers. They're solid, compact at the back, and they see things through. And they've managed both games brilliantly well in this time.
Wasn't Diego Costa great tonight?
Honestly, I've missed him. I've missed watching him.
Not many people have said that.
I've missed watching him. I really. You forget, you know, when he's not. You know, obviously you've not been able to watch him week in, week out. You forget what he brings to a team.
Look at his strength there.
He's just horrible to play against.
I would love to, honestly, I would love if I could put my boots back on to play against him, because it's just something when I see him, just something about him makes my blood boil. But credit to him, because, you know, okay, they didn't necessarily need to win this game even tonight, but he was the match winner for them. He looked strong, he looked aggressive. I believe he might be injured, by the way. Don't think he was feigning injury. Arsenal didn't need to put the ball out for him, but he's asking questions of you the whole time, with and without the ball.
There was a time early on in the game where he wasn't really involved, Jake, and he kind of started doing a few little things. He had a little bit of a fight, I think, with Chambers or Mustafi. Then he had a little niggle at Ramsey, got the referee angry with him, and he plays himself into that kind of situation.
You see the imagination he has there for the Cruyff turn, and then he picks someone out. There's a lot more to him than just a physical player.
And Griezmann was quite good as well, alongside him. An amazing pairing up front. Right, we will hope to hear from Arsene Wenger in a couple of moments. He remains with the Arsenal players in the dressing room. I'm sure he's got a message for them. His last ever game in European competition as the Arsenal manager is over. There is no fairy tale final for him, and we'll hear from Arsene shortly. We await Arsene Wenger. He hasn't yet emerged to speak to the media. Mesut Ozil, you weren't happy with him tonight?
No, haven't been happy with him for some time, and it seems as if he picks and chooses his games. He was on the edge of things today. He seems to get lost in the sort of defensive traffic. You know, you can hide a little bit in that wide position. When Wenger made the change, Wilshere came off. At times I was watching, I think, well, are you going to get back for your team? Are you actually going to put a shift in? You know, I mean, the great players I played with, your Bergkamps and your Henrys, they worked hard as well. And I don't think this team can carry anybody. And tonight it looked like they've been carrying him.
I think that's the difference, though, Martin. I think if you look at those teams you're talking about, they had the foundations to allow the greats who had the flair, like Bergkamp and so on, to go and be creative. I don't think this current Arsenal squad can afford to carry anybody, like you said. So we almost highlight Ozil because we're asking him to do things that he doesn't do. He's not a player that goes and gets the game by the scruff of the neck. He's not going to track back.
He should be, though,
No, not really. That's not what his job is. His job is to go out there and create. When I watch him for Madrid, he creates. When I watch him for Germany and he's got solid foundations, he gets on the ball and he makes them tick in midfield. For some reason, when you watch him for Arsenal, everybody wants this tackling, tracking back, working hard for the team player. It's not who he is. It's not the player they bought. I think how the weak structure of the side makes him look worse.
Yes, but I think he can demand the ball, he can get on the ball, he can make things tick, as a Vieira would have done, and show some drive, show some energy, and he's on the edge of it. It's almost like his hands in the air, look, at this group aren't as good as me. And somebody needed to grab him a long time ago to give him a shake and say, we're trying to get the ball to you, we are working for you, but you're not working for us. And I bet he doesn't play again this season. He'll have some emotional breakdown. He won't be able to play at the weekend. I don't know how many illnesses he's had this season, but the fella he's not kidding me. That is not a proper performance. He's not giving everything, and there's much more under the bonnet. Somebody else will find it. Whether the new manager coming in can find it, I don't know. It's a big problem for the new manager because Wenger's invested an awful lot of money in this player, and I'm not seeing a performance to go with it. He wasn't fit to wear the shirt for me tonight, and I've seen this a lot. On this season, and it needs to be said. Because he needs to be dug out, because we expect better from him. He's a World Cup winner, and these are crocodile tears that I'm seeing from the player. He's not conning me. Listen, I've had my say on it, and I feel that he's not giving enough for Arsenal Football Club. And maybe Arsene Wenger should come out occasionally and say a little bit more about some of these players that should have performed for him, and he's one that hasn't.
Well, your love for the club. I have a heart of stone to sit here and see that interview and not want for Arsene Wenger to get what he wanted so badly, which was that final.
Well, I think he showed a good understanding of where it went wrong over the two ties, showed a great deal of dignity there, and respect for his opponent, and honesty. And working with Arsene Wenger, I can tell you it was an absolute joy to work with him. It obviously hasn't been the exit that he would have wanted. Over the last 4 or 5 years, I know there have been FA Cups there, but this failure to really be competitive in the Premier League, and he is a major competitor, will really hurt him. And I hope that he finds some level of peace now when he steps away, because it's been his life. There's still a lot for him to offer. He has a great footballing brain, and he'd be a sad loss to the game itself if he were not to take up some sort of position within football. I would like to see him high up at Arsenal. I wouldn't want to lose that resource. I'd want to tap into that. I don't feel that's going to happen because he hasn't really put together a succession plan of management. There hasn't really been a plan for a successor, and he's not going to play a part in that. But I wish him well for the future, and I'm sure he'll come back somewhere. He won't give up now. He's the sort of guy who feels that his life is football. I'm not saying there's not a lot else in his life, because there is, of course there is. He'll find something, but football is his first love, and he'll come back to it.
And it's double bad news, really, the result tonight, but also the injury as well to Koscielny, and Arsene Wenger has now confirmed it as well. A ruptured Achilles. It's an injury you've been through, and you were saying to me earlier, this could be 6 months really to come back from an injury like this.
It will be, and that's just to get back running, really. That's, you're talking a year to get back to anywhere near probably what you were. And, in fairness to Koscielny, I think what this does show is that he's been battling it for a while. And I think, he's had to go through a lot of criticism over the season, and
that's where the sharpness hasn't quite been there, is it? It probably explains a lot.
It's like a situation when you want to sprint, when you've got these kind of Achilles tendonitis problems, you can't get onto your toes properly, and he's been exposed a few times because of it this year. And I think the fact that he wanted to be out there with his team leading his side, and he suffered that today, and obviously he's going to miss out on the World Cup.
How hard is it coming back from that injury? Is it just a case of patience?
Yeah, patience is a big thing. It's quite frustrating in the early stages, but it's just a matter of just getting the strength back in that area, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's just it's a tough time for him to take it, obviously.
Look, we started tonight by saying that if they don't win this evening, it affects Arsene Wenger for the next 13 days till he finishes being the Arsenal manager, but it affects Arsenal for the next 12 months. We now know they will go searching for a manager and searching for players without any Champions League football. How big an impact is that going to be on the work that your former club do for the next few weeks?
Well, it's a reality. That they need to work to find the right person to come in there. It's a situation the club have not been in for 22 years. They've not had to recruit a new manager. They're almost having to create a new department to look for a manager. Ivan Gazidis, it's over to him. He needs to find that right person. David Dean brought Arsene Wenger in. And look what he did for the football club, and now it's up to Ivan Gazidis to find the right person. But I think the timing is right, clearly right, to find a new man.
There's so much work to do, though, isn't there? If we take a look at the Arsenal players who are out of contract in the forthcoming season, there is going to be a lot of movement at this football club over the next 3 or 4 months.
I think it's exactly what it needs. To be honest with you, I think it needs some fresh blood. I think it needs not only fresh blood at the kind of the top level with the manager, but there's a couple here that want to tie down, and there's a couple that I think they probably should let go.
What do you think will happen with Jack?
I think Jack will stay.
Do you?
Is my gut feeling. I think obviously, there's a mixed feeling there. Jack loves the club. I personally think he owes the club a little bit as well. They stuck with him for all his tough times with his injuries, and I think they will meet in the right place. There's a couple there that I think will probably go the other way. People like Petr Cech maybe will kind of step down, or there'll be a few others in there that will go their separate ways. I don't think it'll be a bad thing. I really don't. I think even for the players leaving, it might be, it might help them as well.
I think with the right man comes in, it's a catalyst for change, isn't it? That's what they've talked about. Wenger came in and completely changed Arsenal Football Club. That same sort of person, a younger man, somebody with that energy, his own ideas, his own players that he wants to bring in. They've had plenty of time to look at Arsenal. The new man's out there now watching, and I think it's kind of not rocket science, is it, to put Arsenal right? I think there's the makings of it's almost as if they couldn't find a rhythm tonight quickly enough. Their form's been so patchy in the Premier League that you can't just suddenly turn that on in the Europa League. At times it was there, but it wasn't quite there. I don't know if they're that far away from really getting back into the top four. A new manager will see this as an incredible opportunity to come in and do well.
Isn't it's like Mesut Ozil the prime example of where a new manager is going to focus his attention? He isn't performing well enough under Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger needs to take some criticism for that, and the new manager who comes in will target that as an opportunity. It's that kind of a thing.
Well, it is, and Arsene Wenger, he makes the judgment. He makes the judgment on the players. Are they good enough? Will they give him what he wants? And we talk about Ozil again. Now somebody else has got to come in, and it's a joint affair, isn't it, to get the best from the player, and that's simply not happening at the moment. Is that a desire aspect? Has Arsene Wenger just secured a transfer fee for Ozil, and it's the first player that they sell? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, some more reaction now from the Arsenal camp. Hector Bellerin is with Lindsay.
Difficult to do it like that.
Thank you, Hector.
How frustrated will he be with his personal performance tonight, Bellerin?
Look, I think in the early stages he found it tough in the attacking part of the game, and I think obviously for the goal he was culpable as well. He was the one left in the poor decision making of being too far ahead of Costa. So he'll have to look at that and obviously decide. But I think he's right collectively. I think in stages during the game they played well, and he was a part of that. But when you isolate certain situations, maybe of his game today.
He's big enough as well, isn't he?
It's great, but it wasn't their worst. I don't think it was one of those situations where I looked at Arsenal and went, "Oh, he was poor, he was poor, he was poor." I know we spoke about Ozil. Weirdly, I thought again it was a decent display. I just think they're guilty of just not being good enough. Arsenal. It's as simple as that. They're just not good enough against a much better side. Their effort levels were there. They tried hard. You can't have a go at their commitment out there. Just wasn't good enough.
Well, I mean, with Bellerin, at least he's big enough to come out and face the media, because you might have wanted to go away and hide there, but maybe he doesn't know actually that he's done anything wrong for the goal. And if that's the case, that's even worse. It's about,
that's an indictment on the manager as well as the player, isn't
not
it?
Really, because you could say that, but I would say that there's staff there as well. There's coaches there. There's the player there. He's undertaking. He would have come through the youth system. He came in very early. From
so an indictment on the management, not the manager.
But the player has to take on board. There are different types of learners, aren't they? How do you learn from a visual learning, and coaching on the pitch, from messages, from practice? And maybe he just hasn't done that often enough, tucked back in, doesn't understand that he has to tuck back in when the ball is delivered.
Is this an Arsenal team, though, that you think has got more to give under a new manager, under some fresh impetus, under some new energy? Can be better than this.
But they've got to be careful with their choice of person that's going to lead that. Because if it's someone very similar to Arsene Wenger, you're just going to get the same results. So I think that a lot of these players almost need the shackles put on them to an extent. They need some structure. They need to be kind of, when I say held back, I just mean they need to be more rigid at times and difficult
Diego
to beat.
Simeone.
Just be more difficult to beat. It's not hard, it's not easy to create what he's created here, Simeone, all right? But just be more difficult to beat.
And suddenly the game against Burnley becomes very important. You might not know this. If they don't finish above Burnley, their season starts on July the 26th. That's in 84 days. So Burnley is important, and they've got Leicester and Huddersfield to finish off. A little bit of a question mark from Martin Keown over a certain Arsenal player tonight and their level of commitment. No question mark over the level of commitment to Arsenal from Martin Keown, though. Have a look.
Come on, Jack. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Aaron! Shoot!
Come on!
That's good, Jack. Feed him
How's
in.
Jack been taken off? Can we pass the ball? Oh, what an effort!
That's a big chance, that is, you know.
For him, it is. Sorry about that, lads. Didn't realise it was being filmed. You're out of order.
It burns strong, the love still, doesn't it?
Well, it's a big occasion, you know, and you're out there pleading for your team to score along with the rest of the fans here tonight. But it wasn't
And
to
your
be.
sort of final message to us and Wenger, a man you shared so much with, you've got about 20 seconds. How you feel tonight?
Well, listen, he's hurting more than anybody else. I can tell the fans that, and it just didn't work out. He gave us some great memories, some great occasions. Unfortunately, tonight wasn't one of those, but he'd always had my respect because it was a joy just to be in his company and to play with him and win trophies was amazing. All
right, look, thank you both very much for your company tonight, and also thanks for your hard work throughout the whole season on the Europa League. You know, you've been there every step of the way.